Raise your horns high and let your spirit flow. It's the classic metal wrap-up show. Feel the rush, let the loudness grow. It's the classic metal wrap-up show.
Yeah. And first, well, I guess let's go over. If you have it, you have the project on hand. Let's just take a little look-see at this project.
All right, so let's check this out.
How's it going, man? You're not filming, are you?
So what do you think? I mean, because I think they kept on referencing last night about them sounding like Foo Fighters. I think there's a little tiny bit of that here in the vocal, maybe that melody, the way he's singing it,
kind
maybe?
of the big drums. I kind of hear a little bit of that, the production wise, but the actual song melody and quality of what's happening here, no offense to these guys, it's not Foo Fighters to me.
No.
I was telling you before, in my opinion, musical opinion, this sounds to me like a mix between some pop rock from the late 90s and that kind of alternative Wallflowers type of thing.
Sure.
Maybe a little bit heavier than that, but the point is it has a very late 90s alt rock feel to me.
And the drumming. I mean, I think the standout is Jimmy's drumming on here.
Yeah. And the guitar playing is not bad. I just, we'll let them sample a little more and then.
You don't stop until you get what you need. You twist the knife just to see if I'm still alive. Oh yeah, it's a matter of fact, it's a matter of time. It's coming to the point where I draw the line. But I can't seem to make you see. No, I won't. No, I won't.
I mean, I don't know I don't know. I mean, it to me, it sounds like you said, it sounds 90s, mid to late 90s type music. Yeah, I mean, I get I guess they're going for what they're going for. If that was the sound they got it.
If the Wallflowers and Blink 182 and Lit Fucked, it seems like that's what this would be, the project. They would shit out a baby and it would sound like this. I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying that's what it reminds me of. And the song, honestly, it has the little catch on the chorus. I ain't gonna lie. When after I heard it, I was going, "Oh, the death of me." Got it. But that's all it has. It needs more.
Yeah.
The verse, I feel like I'm waiting through the verse to get to the chorus, and then every time he has to get through some of this other parts, he's taking you back to that chorus. So, I get that is songwriting, but you might have wanted to step up the vocals and the verse a little bit better, in my opinion. The chorus has got a nice little hook, but you can't have just that. And I'm starting to wonder, like I told you off camera, and no knock to Eric and any of the guys in this band, but is this like a Red Rain thing where they're hiring these guys to get a little boost and then they're gone? Or are these guys staying in the band and we're going out and doing a 20-date tour on the West Coast and hitting some shows? I'm just wondering what is the long-term vision here?
Well,
because we did a little research, I think this band had some other videos where these guys were not in the song or it was only 2 or 3 of these guys. So they've had some turnover, and maybe these guys are joining the band to make it a band. I could be mistaken. I don't think I've heard Ferrantino say that or not. I don't. So maybe I need to listen to more Cap, but less CMS. I don't know.
Maybe.
Let you be the death of me. I won't ever let you be. Let you be the death of me. I won't ever let you be. Let you be the death of me. All your talk is ripping on my energy.
So far, I've made it through this longer than the first time I tried watching it. I think I got
100%.
through 50 seconds.
And does it not have a twinge of Weezer to it musically
Yeah, it
almost?
just
Yeah,
has.
like the vocal guy sings more raspy than Rivers Cuomo, but guitar riff wise
To
and
me,
the it
and,
yeah.
and I don't know if you were a fan of any of the, or if you've even heard of these bands because they didn't really make it. But there was right after Buck Cherry, there was a series of bands that kind of tried to mimic the Buck Cherry sound, but they also sounded kind of alternative. And this is kind of
Mhm.
what it reminds me of. There was,
Yeah.
gosh, what was it? I think one was New American Shame, I think was one of the bands.
I've heard that name
And
before.
then, oh shit, I forget what the other one. It was another band from like Orange County. I forget what their name was, but again, similar thing. They were more kind of like a cross between like Social Distortion and Buck Cherry. Um, I'm sure the
It's
name will
got
come to me.
this has that same I was going to
Mm-hmm,
say earlier, it's like a SoCal
mm-hmm,
pop rock,
sure,
maybe a little punky type of vibe in there too. I don't
sure,
know. But that's why I say I'm not for the record, I don't know shit about that genre of music.
right,
That's about the time when the Blinkers showed up is about when Evil started going back to the 80s and listen to the hair bands and fuck this shit because all this music
right.
is garbage to me. Not say everyone has their own taste. Maybe I know those guys can sell some pretty big fucking places, but
Mm-hmm.
that's to me the like Weezer and Blink were like the head of that kind of music at the time, and I just never Weezer, I could take a little bit more. Well, there's a couple songs there I might actually put on my car stereo once in a blue moon if I was feeling it, but I've never listened to Blink 182. And all of this feels very SoCal power pop rock to me. So I don't know if I would be running out to the, digital download store to get the Death of Me saved to my phone or whatever
Right.
my player is these days. I put everything on my playlist on my phone,
Oh,
but everybody does it
here's the
differently.
name
So
of the band. I found it. American Pearl. That was the name of the band.
okay,
But
gotcha.
yeah, I mean they have that kind of vibe, and I think they're going to fall into the same issue that some of the '80s bands are falling into. That it's like the audience is kind of limited. It's a scope of a particular base and people that
Mhm.
like that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think somebody in this band's a trust funder. Is my is my theory.
Well, we had that private conversation. I did wonder if this was like a smaller budgeted version of the Dead Daisies,
Dead
where you got
Daisies. Yeah,
a guy or two who've got some good careers or trust funds, or like I said, maybe one's a doctor and one's a lawyer, and
hmm
they want to do a band on the weekends and they got the money to finance it. So I don't know, something's going on. I would imagine that Eric and Jimmy are not doing this for free, so
sure.
there's got to be
Right.
some, yeah.
Yeah,
And I understand Eric's probably trying to find something to do when he's not with Piercy, but I
mhm,
also think that Eric's probably a good enough guitar player. He could probably get quite a few different gigs. So,
sure.
imagine this. These guys had to make him some kind of an offer or something that interested him. So,
Yeah, and same with Jimmy. I mean, he goes from lynch mob to something that is kind of still getting built. You know.
yeah.
Um,
And I just don't know, like, do those guys want to go back to the bars in LA and San
yeah,
Diego and
yeah.
San
I
Francisco
don't
and
get.
play? Is
Yeah,
that
it
what
just
they're,
doesn't
because
make
that's what
sense.
this is going to be. This is not going to be, this would be lucky to get on the stage at the Whiskey, I would imagine.
Sure.
So, nothing bigger than that. So, I don't, everything else I would imagine is going to be a 2 to 500 seat bar.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think if it was like some kind of a mini super group type thing, it would probably generate more of a buzz. And
that's,
then they
yeah.
would. Yeah. But
But
I don't know.
and so it does make me wonder, maybe they're just filling time and collecting a little dough while they're waiting to see if their other projects or opportunities come back around.
I don't know. I don't know if we want to.
Listen to more. I don't want to torture our eardrums with more of that.
I was debating if you wanted to listen a little more.
Well,
But here's the solo, though.
Yeah, let Eric do a solo.
And I really do like the solo. I think that is one of the highlights of this thing. But it's got 3 guitar players, right?
3 guitar players, yes.
So I mean, again, it's just kind of like the guitar playing's kind of thin for 3 guitar.
Yeah,
The
and
solo was
is
good.
is the singer? I think he plays rhythm guitar too. So wouldn't
Yeah.
that be 4 guys playing guitar? Because there's a
Jeez.
bass player. So
It's like
I think they're
Skinner.
over guitared here, but it doesn't sound like they're over
It's like
guitared.
Skinnered alternative rock.
Yeah. So I
don't
mean,
know.
I could be wrong. I don't think in this video he ever actually shows you what he's going to do live, but I would imagine he's not standing there like that.
Oops.
Maybe
Oh, hold on. Gremlins. It's those internet gremlins. They're hit. So, anyways, repeat what you
well,
were
it's
just
okay.
saying.
No, I was just going to say, in this video, he's just constantly at a microphone in the studio singing with
Right.
headphones on. I'm just, is that what is he just a
don't know.
singer guy? I was under the impression that he was probably going to play a rhythm guitar or something.
So, who do
Maybe
you
I'm
think
wrong.
is the guy with the money? Is it the singer?
Well, just from the brief research we did on YouTube, it
Mhm.
seems like that singer guy and the guy playing bass guitar and the other guy that just did the guitar soloing on the Les Paul. Those 3 guys were in the other
Mhm.
video. So I'm gonna imagine those guys are the band here, and the rest of the
Right.
drummer and Eric and the other guy are the new
Yeah.
players to help fill it out. So
Right. Yeah. Well, so there you
probably
go.
one of those 3 is the Southern California entertainment attorney or doctor or
Right.
plastic surgeon. It's got all this extra dough to pay
Dentist.
these guys to be in a band. Yeah, something.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So not the end of the world, but I don't know if it's CMS worthy, let's just say.
Right. Yeah.
And I just wonder as soon as the DeMartini Piercy wears off or Rat doesn't get all the way back together, is Eric just going to jump out the project and be back with Sepp doing his thing again? So
Well, I was rewatching the M3 performance, and Piercy, man, I mean, even there's some cool stuff about having Carlos and DeMartini on stage there with him, but the vocals aren't there. The background vocals with Juan, the Cuban dancing bear. I think he really makes the background vocals stand out and sound like the Rat sound, because even with Carlos and DeMartini, I mean they're trying, but there's a missing piece to that.
So you're saying that you're missing the other voice of Rat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I actually do agree with that. I said right off the get that Matt is a fine bass player. He plays the lines
Sure.
just fine, but he doesn't. That's 50% of the gig in that band. The other percent is singing the backgrounds behind Steven. And I will go on record as saying I don't care whether they have Ferentinos, Johnny Monaco, Carlos Cavazzo, or DeMartini. The weak link is Stephen Piercy. The weak link is the vocals.
Again, good start with that
I don't know if it's-
performance. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Again, but there was a couple songs where he starts getting in there
Sure.
and he starts, it's out of tune. And I have to be, I'm not trying to be Wendell here, people, but maybe it's the sound guy. He doesn't have a good mix.
Maybe
I
it's
don't know
the
if he's
sound.
using in-ears or the monitors, but that could be a factor. But for singers, if they don't hear the music to the level of the vocals, they're guessing where they're singing, and that's never good. Steven reminds me of a guy who's probably old school and just going off stage monitors. And if that's the case, then
And who knows how much
that-
hearing he's lost, right? I mean, that's the
and
other
so,
thing.
in the end, I think that no offense to Matt and Bloss, but get them out of there. If you're going to do this right, get the dancing Cuban bear and Blotz on the drums and make this be Rat. And then he'll sing the parts the way it's supposed to be and go back to the infestation lineup and do what you're supposed to do. If you're going to stay out there as just Piercy, then yes, get Monaco and Ferentinos back in there. At least they were singing the background vocals.
Right.
DeMartini is not a singer. No offense to Carlos, but he was not known to be he wasn't the Michael Anthony of Quiet Riot. He wasn't back there. Oh.
And
So,
I think
matter of
that
fact, I
is
can't even think of a time where there
Yeah.
was there ever a time where he sang anything in Quiet Riot? I don't think there was.
Carlos?
So
I think just the choruses. I think when they did,
maybe background there.
"Mama," we're all crazy now. Yeah. I mean, just
The big
the
chorus.
gang vocal, but nothing, not much.
Like,
I mean,
not like what Juan does in Rat,
Sure.
where he's literally song
Yeah.
by song backing Steven and harmonizing with them in
Mhm.
choruses in certain sections. And so, knock Juan all you want, but he kind of is the other voice of Rat.
yeah, I think
I'm not
if I
saying
would-
he should go out on tour by himself. I've watched those videos too. I'm not
Well,
suggesting that. I'm
but I
just
think
saying that if you want it to sound like Rat, it needs to have him in the mix.
I think it does come down to, it's like, okay, if you could only pick either bring Blotzer back or Juan back. I mean, I'm thinking Blotzer's a bigger pain in the ass than Juan, and at least Juan pulls his weight.
But if I'm not mistaken, the friction, I believe, is really between right now, at least. If you listen to the interview that Warren did with Steven, I'm
Sure.
going to guess Warren doesn't want to play with Juan.
Right.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
I think that those last couple lawsuits where Juan was trying to, I think Warren was like, because think about it. Warren and Blotzer toured for 10 years without any of these guys. So I don't think Warren and Blotzer have that much of a beef.
Right.
Somehow they've managed a relationship to work with each other, get on stage and play the gigs for years and years. And some of those gigs were not what they're doing nowadays. So those were, I mean, there were some bars and some clubs. So my point is, I think that Juan really is the linchpin that in that regard, I agree with Blotzer. I think Blotzer's right. When you put Juan in there, whether it's with Piercy or with DeMartini or with Blotzer or all of the above, it's not going to work. Personality wise, legally wise, business wise.
What do you think of maybe a reunion, and now they call it Rat? If it's Carlos, Juan, Piercy, and DeMartini with, I don't know, maybe they get Jimmy
Bloss on
DeAnda,
drums, yeah.
on drums,
Bloss,
or
yeah.
or
Pete
Jimmy
Holmes.
DeGrasso, or Pete Holmes again. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And then they're in the middle slot of that Poison tour.
I think that would be a good show. I personally would still think that I would, well, not in this current market. Poison would still be the headliner in the current market, I
Right.
think. But
Right.
for my personal taste, I would rather see an hour and a half of them
yeah.
and maybe
Sure.
only an hour, 45 minutes of Poison or something. But
Sure.
but I have to give Poison credit. The one time I saw them, they did put on a hell of a show. They really brought a full lights and this and with pyros and things going off, and they really make it like it does make you feel like, I give them credit. It makes you like you're at a party. That's what it makes you. Brett and them do make you feel like you get your cold one out and your doobie and let's have a good time. So
Right.
yeah, I don't think Rat to me never really had that show end of it. It was always more the band, in my opinion. I don't
Right.
think I've ever really recalled feeling like they blew people away with the pyro and the lighting so maybe that's just money and how much they're drawing on the market when they're on tour. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. Again, go back to it. It left something to be desired. I was going into it thinking that David Lee Roth would be the worst performance on the M3. And to be honest with you, I think Stephen Piercy was right there with him. It was neck and neck. They both were not very good. So
Yeah. No.
both
I
of them
think
had to
in
rely
watching-
upon the band behind them. Yeah, both of them relied upon the band behind them to carry the weight. They're not doing it vocally, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So,
And I think the
but
advantage.
we are
Roth-
talking about Stephen, who's 65, and Roth, who's 75. So I
But
keep saying it, but these guys are borderline senior centers, man.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
But I
like
do
if they
think
were the regular dude across the street.
The advantage Roth had
They'd
is
be at the
because he
senior
had
foam.
the background vocalist.
Background vocals. Well,
Yeah,
and
they
this is
really-
what I was saying.
yeah.
At least Roth, in that regard, people can talk about his ego all they want, and there is a large one there. But in this, he had enough self sense to know I can't do this vocally, and I need a bigger band to make
Sure.
this work. Let's get the background guys. Let's make sure the bass player and the guitar player and the drummer have got this Van Halen shit down. That bass player better be singing some high harmonies. And he was singing some backgrounds there with him. So you could see Roth thought it through and said, I need help. Let's get the help if I'm going to go out and be on my own as David Lee Roth. So I don't know that Piercy's ever stepped back and said,
Right.
I don't know if I could swing it vocally. Why don't you get these guys and do this and do that? I get the vibe that Piercy's that. I get the vibe Piercy doesn't give a shit. That's why it's like Piercy's kind of like a take what you get, and that's all you get, motherfucker. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, he's that kind of guy. So
You think he just kind of goes, well, that was an okay show, or that was a not so great show, but he can live
I think
with
for
it.
Stephen Piercy, he probably looks at it and goes, I fucked up tonight, but that's one show out of 3,000 I've done in my career. So
Sure.
we'll try again tomorrow night. And
Right.
I can't blame him.
Yeah,
I mean, at his
right.
age with that many shows, I mean, yeah, fuck, you're going to have a couple of turds. There's no doubt about
Mm-hmm.
it. So I don't know if they're ever, I mean, there's very few that are Sao Paulo level where he was just,
Oh,
oof.
yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know what he was drinking or doing on
Right.
that gig, but ooh, it was all
Or it could
bad.
have been a combination of both.
Yeah,
I
might have
mean,
been a little bit of
Because it
some
wasn't that
Brazilian
where
drugs.
he had his bum knee or something like that, and he was on pain meds.
Yeah, I
and probably
believe he
drank.
was. That was the end of that reunited rat, and he was having problems with that. And I think
Right.
that continued into when the guys left, and him and Juan tried to carry
Mhm.
the new scabs along, and he was still
Yeah.
trying to. And I don't, again, don't blame him if he's in that kind of situation. But that might be the time to say, I got to cancel these shows for the next 3 months, guys. I got a
Mhm.
knee replacement, or I got a hip needs to be replaced, or whatever it is. So.
Right.
But, let's just be realistic, ladies and gentlemen. This is where the business comes in. Eddie Van Halen can take 5 years off. He had the money. I'm not so sure that Piercy and these guys want to take 5 years off. I don't know that they have money to live for 5 years. They might be like, I got 2 or 3 years of cash and that's about it.
Mhm.
So just saying, the difference in the actual paydays is large. And certain bands, Axel can go in Malibu and hide for fucking 10 years and probably still be sitting there with millions in the bank when he comes out.
Mhm.
There's a guy like Stephen Piercy who he doesn't have the Appetite for Destruction diamond certified record. He doesn't have it. Look at the
Right.
Rat sales. I think the largest one was 6 million, I think,
Mhm.
roughly, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that's a big difference. When you got an Appetite that's sold fucking 50 million records, it's just a big pay difference. So no knock on Piercy. I think he's doing fine. I just think that he needs, again, a little bit of what Dawkins needs, maybe a couple extra hands to make sure that monitor is right. Make sure if he's not using in-ears, why? Can we get this
Mhm.
dialed in? You'll hear yourself better, Steven. And yes, a musical director to say, Matt, if you can't hit that, we got to get somebody in here who can hit that backup vocal. Because
Why don't you?
just like Van Halen without Michael Anthony,
Right.
Rat doesn't sound right without the extra vocal of Juan Crucier. Those guys added something to the mix that is not always quantified, but it's important.
Do you think Green Bomb doesn't have ears?
I think to be okay, you want Evil's honest opinion. I like
Yeah.
Jason Green, and I watch his show,
Sure.
and I don't really have a problem with him personally. I think if we hung out one-on-one and talked, there's a lot of
Sure.
similarities. I like some horror movies. I like the
Mhm.
pop culture stuff. I when he went to the Brady Bunch house, I was watching that one. I like the Brady
yeah.
Bunch. I used to watch
Right.
that as a fucking kid. So all those kinds of things, we would have 100% get along and agree and get. Where we go sideways is I think that Green Bomb's a little bit business-wise, and
Mhm.
I think Blot's maybe had a few points that might have been valid.
Now, now that you think back.
That Green Bomb is in it for Green Bomb. He don't give a fuck whether it's he only wanted DeMartini because he saw. No offense to Ferentinos and Monaco, but DeMartini equals more dough. I think that Green Bomb would probably even tolerate Blotz and Juan coming back if he was a part of it and getting more dough for that too. He'd probably just go, fuck it, bring him in here. I'll tolerate Bobby's bullshit in order to make more money. And I'm not knocking him for that. He's a guy who's got him as a road manager or whatever his title is with Steven these days. That's what he has to do to make a buck. I get it. But I don't think he has loyalty to anyone. Not Steven. Let's just put it this way. If Vince called him tomorrow and said, I need you to do what you're doing for Steven, but for me, and I'm giving you 10 grand more a month or whatever, I think Green Bomb's out. He's on to the next guy, right?
Oh,
if Roth calls him or Hagar or someone that's going to pay more,
That probably answered my next question. Who do you think is more loyal, Green Bomb or John Astronomy?
Well, I think John Astronomy, as much as I think that guy's a little piece of work himself. And I follow him too. He's just a strange cat.
Yeah, he's a weird
but
dude.
I think he's put up a lot more shit with Ace than any of these other people are putting up with. So he must
should
have
write a
some
book.
friendship. Yeah, he must have some friendship or loyalty to Ace that we just don't
Right.
understand. And maybe, again, they might be behind the scenes just best sitting around fucking eating dinner, chopping it up, just best
Right.
friends like Neely,
Right.
fucking Dawn. Who knows? But
I don't know. I
uh,
think I think I
I,
think
I,
John
I think he.
and Ace are better friends than Neely and Tom.
Oh, yeah, that's probably true. And I think Dawn is a little, as we found out with Mr. Crenshaw. There's multiple Neelys, and
Oh
depending
yeah.
on where Dawn's at and where he needs one, right? So,
Yeah.
which is smart on Dawn's part, right? A little.
Hmm.
You can't have this guy. Got to have a backup. Got to have two or three of these guys in the closet to pull out when I need a helper. Now, again, I just think that in this case, yeah, astronomy's sticking with Ace till
Right.
Ace falls over into the casket. I think Greenbaum could get a call tomorrow from David Coverdale and say,
Right.
"Hey, I need you for the White Snake reunion, and we're doing 40 dates, and I'll pay you $5,000 more." And Greenbaum's like, "I'm out. I'm working for Coverdale." So I don't think that there's any loyalty to Piercy. This like there was no loyalty to Blotzer. There's no loyalty to DeMartini. He is honest. If you watch his thing, he says to those guys all the time, the second that DeMartini shows up, you're
Oh
gone.
yeah.
At least he's honest
That's right.
about it. He's not
That's true.
he's not ever hidden the fact that if the original guys walk in the room,
Yeah.
the rest of us are probably disposable. And then at least in that regard, he's honest. He knows where him and the other guys stand compared to the business of the machine that is Rat, and Rat is bigger as a unit than any of these other people. So
Right.
and that, that's an inconvenient truth when you get into this business side of the rock music scene is that, is he tour managing Piercy currently? Yes. Will he going forward? Yes. Is he probably the only one that's ever tour managed Piercy? No. Piercy's probably had 10 of those guys over the last 30 or 40 years, right? I mean, he has to have somebody run the shit because he's too busy doing what he's doing.
Sure.
So, but I don't have a problem with Green Bomb, as Blotzer would say.
Green Bomb.
But I do see what Blotzer was saying, and that is that he's essentially a hired guy that has no investment in this, no loyalty to this. And whether you want Blotzer, Blotzer's full of shit, but you can see at Blotzer's point was, hey, if I'm paying the guy, I expect him to work for me, not be working for the other team. And sometimes he was wondering if the guy's going to flip and work for the other team, and you can see why. So I can see how Bobby would have that question in his heart. And I think that think about it. Did Greenbaum work for Piercy prior to Blotzer?
That I don't know. I don't think so.
No, he was doing Sin City Sinners, right?
That's
he
what
was
it
doing all
was.
that stuff. Yeah.
Have you ever heard
So what I'm
that?
saying is he kind of got, he got in there. Then those guys got into the Blotzer band. So then Greenbaum gets to the Blotzer and runs that. And then that kind of gave him the around and about thing to be qualified, let's say, for the Steven gig. Because Steven looked over and said, well, if you did it for Bobby, you could probably do it for me.
Right.
So I'm just saying he's worked his way up the talent pool. The next step would be if Brett Michaels calls or Vince Neil or fucking, pick your guy, Axl Rose. Someone says, I need you to do that. I would imagine, and I can't blame Greenbaum. The pay difference could be massive if
It
you
could
were
be
tour
Bret
managing Guns
Michaels.
N' Roses versus tour managing. Yeah. So I'm just saying those guys probably pay more dough. And in his line of work, again, it's a business. He's not there to be their friend. He's not there because he loves their music. He's there to get them on the road, play the shows, collect the fucking dough, and make sure everyone gets paid. So,
yeah,
which is a very vital role for bands of that size. They don't have the fucking time to be on the phone with the promoter or calling when you get to town and you get ready to set up and a guy like Greenbaum walks backstage and goes, fuck, there's brown M&Ms. Roth ain't having it. He's the guy on the phone with the bro. Get these fucking M&Ms out of here before this fucking guy shows up and you're fucking got no show on you at all.
Who do you think has more of a spine to get the money? Do you think Greenbaum or Neely? I still don't buy that story of Neely muscling the money out of that one guy, that promoter or whatever.
Evil's going to cut it straight right here, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think that Greenbaum gets on the couch while some guy fucks his wife? No. Greenbaum made porn. Remember, before he was
Right,
in the music
that's
industry,
right.
he was in the porn industry.
That's right,
So this guy
that's
knows
right.
how to. This guy's probably pimping
knows some
hoes, to be
people.
quite frank with you.
Yeah.
He probably knows how to make a few bucks off some sex and some chicks. So I just don't. I'm not saying Greenbaum's a tough guy. I'm just saying I think Greenbaum would know how to approach someone to get the fucking guy paid. And if he couldn't get him paid, he knows the legal people to take care of the business to make sure he got paid. I don't think Neely has a lawyer on the line to call when this shit goes sideways. I don't think that Neely has any muscle, and other than going up to the guy and giving them the inconvenient truth that he doesn't want to hear from Don's own voice, which would be Don going, "Fucking pay me, asshole." Neely's, "Come on, guys, let's try to get Don paid so we can all work an agreement here." That's what Neely's doing. So
Right.
I don't. If there was ever any friction, it was because the other guys, the promoter, brought the muscle in, and they had the switchblades. Were like, "Fuck you, give us back some money, Don.
Right.
You only paid for fucking 60 minutes, and you got paid for 75." So, and
right.
I'll be honest with you, that's not uncommon, y'all. I hate to. This is not a Neely or a Don thing.
Right.
I'm in a low-level band. This is a part-time gig for me. We've been stiffed and fucked over, and
Ugh.
people try to steal our
Yeah.
shit because it's a mess out there, dude. When you get into these bars and clubs, the people that run them are not Bill Gates. They're not
Right.
Jeff Bezos. They're not someone that's passed a background check. I can tell you that much. They're usually ex-criminals. They're usually ex-thugs. They're usually
Right.
drug dealers and lowlifes looking to fucking diversify their money into something legitimate, so they open a bar. So when you're dealing with that level of riffraff, you kind of have to look like Evil does to get in there. I need my money, motherfucker. So that's the only reason why I get paid. If I wasn't 6'5" and 275 pounds, they might not pay me. But when they see me come in the office, they usually give me my money. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they're doing that for Neely. I'm not saying they don't. I just don't think that Don probably. To be honest with you, I was surprised that Don would even find himself into that situation.
Right.
I mean, it seems to me that, again, the contracts to say your performance is for 60 to 75 minutes at Don Dawkins' fucking discretion, and you will pay this much no matter what kind of performance you get to Don Dawkins. If you cancel the event, there's usually a guarantee that Don keeps no matter what, and that's very normal in the business. And Don himself should have said, "Neely, sit down. I'll get my lawyer." Levin. send a
Oh,
letter
that's
tomorrow
right.
that he's
The
fucking-
fucking lawyer's with him.
That's my point. So I didn't understand why Neely's having to get in there with some guy
Yeah,
with a switchblade
yeah,
in
that's right. I
Indiana
totally
and sorting
forgot
this shit
about
out.
that. Levins is
Yeah. And on top of it, you don't think Don has the money to pay, even if it wasn't Levin, a lawyer to be on retainer for
Sure.
such situations. If there's
Right.
thousands of dollars on the table, Don Dawkins going to get a lawyer and sue for thousands
Mm-hmm.
of dollars and get his money. It wouldn't even be a lawsuit. If y'all know how that works, all he has to do is pay the lawyer. The lawyer sends a fucking letter and a check comes back to the lawyer's office
Right.
saying, "Here's the difference in the settlement. We don't want a lawsuit. Sorry." So Don knows that. The fact that he was letting Neely possibly get shanked over it is kind of surprising to me.
right. And here's a couple
That's
other
where
extra, here's a couple extra bucks for the dry cleaning for your manager's couch.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just saying that, this is a situation. I don't know what Wendell claims to have all this experience doing this with Don, but it's times like that that make me go, do you really have this experience? Because I'm on a low level band and we wouldn't have done
Right.
all that. We would have had two options. Either we are willing to fight for this amount of money and we're going to fucking throw down and this is going to turn into a bar brawl over money, or we're walking the fuck out of here, licking our wounds and getting a lawyer and suing you later.
Right. Yeah.
Putting Neely's life on the line over $1,000 in 15 minutes of songs doesn't seem to be very logical to me.
Well,
But,
he's also the guy that was so concerned with his camera time that he had his Ford Escort getting her paw kissed by some random
Some guy who sweeps the floors at the Arcada and thinks that the album's called Invitation. He was giving Taylor an invitation back to his apartment for a little bed session. By the way, yeah, the way he kissed her hand, it
Yeah.
was very like it was.
Yeah.
He was like he was about to get on one knee and pull out a ring and propose.
that was creepy. I mean,
And
Neely's a
Wendell was
real
just standing
creep,
there.
but that was really
But Wendell was just standing there taking it like his usual, like when he went to the couch. He just, all right, this guy's gonna kiss my girl. I'm out of here.
Did you at least get my good
So-
side?
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh,
He
man.
was too distracted by other people at present, like Jason Green, who was trying
Right.
to interview him for his show. So,
Right.
But yes, I guess but it makes me think. I think that Don's above that.
Mhm.
Don should not even be in that predicament, in my opinion.
Right.
Don, like, even if that conversation, if I was in charge of Don, I would have said, Don, you go back to the hotel room, the van, where the fuck ever. You're
Mhm.
done, dude. I'll go in there and tell this motherfucker, this is what we did. This is why we did it. This is how it's going to fucking be. You don't fucking deal with Don on any level. You
Right.
come to me, motherfucker. And if
Right.
you don't like it, fuck you. So that, I mean, I don't think Neely's always stepping in like that. And I don't know why Don isn't just at his level having some guy do that. You can't possibly tell me, Don, that you don't make enough money to throw some guy 200, $300 a night to be the guy who shows up and goes, get the fuck out of here. I mean, it's not that hard. Vince has multiple guys doing that, from my
Right.
understanding, right? He comes down the
Right.
fucking hallway, 400-pound dudes are coming at you and moving your cameras in your face away from Vince Neil.
Mhm.
I understand that Don's not on that level, but Don most certainly could have a guy almost at every gig and run doing this shit. So Don doesn't do any of that. I
Mhm.
think Neely tries to fill in and be
Yeah.
that guy, but you could just look at Neely and say he's not that
Yeah.
guy. Neely is kind of a pacifist at times.
Yeah.
It seems almost like.
Yeah.
So, he talks a good game with the guns and the this, but
Oh,
he
yeah.
really, I would say this. Neely, how many bar brawls have you been in? How many times have you fought? Like,
Yeah.
really fought. Like, look
Right.
at this nose, Neely. See
Right.
this? This is from getting punched. It doesn't work anymore, right? It's been
Right.
broken twice in fights.
Right.
So I just wonder, has Neely really been right?
Right.
Kiss her a couple times with a good
Right.
guy my size and had to throw down? I don't think that Neely's
No.
that guy. I think Neely would be the kind of, oh, we can work this out. Oh,
Yeah.
I got some cash for you, buddy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
not evil. Evil's the younger brother who doesn't give a fuck. Hey, you want to fight? We're gonna fight. It could be for fucking $1.50. I'll fucking fight you
Right.
for it. That's what you
Fucking
really want to
fight
do.
you.
I don't fucking care. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he can relate
Don-
to the fight stories that Chris has shared. I don't think he can relate.
You can
to
tell
that at
Chris
all.
has been in a few.
Oh yeah.
Chris has been intoxicated like I have and just said, fuck it.
Yeah.
There's just, some, you can just get the vibe. And then there's guys like Neely. I don't think he's ever really scrapped. So my point is, Don, that's not Neely's strong suit. You don't really need him. And Don, if you're having any of those kind of issues, you probably just need to get a real roadie, a real tech, a real guy, a personal assistant who's there to be the person to handle that shit for you. And it should be someone who's over 6 feet tall and probably above 250 pounds. That's usually what motivates most motherfuckers to start listening.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Right.
Raise your horns high.